Okay, so I just got back from a open casting call for New York because I'm clearly in New York. And boy, oh boy, wow. Like for I really just tried it because I was like, why not try it? Like I had some friends who recommended were like, you should really try and see if you can get into this. Um, but I just like stumbled into it and I didn't know what to expect. So if you or anyone you know is interested in learning more about casting, just going through this process today, I have learned so much. And, you know, honestly, I thought I was prepared going into this. I didn't like do it willy nilly. I had like a couple weeks of a heads up. And I did my research. Like, obviously, this is how I went dressed. I really didn't wear any makeup. I think I just did like color corrector under my eyes because I have dark eyes or dark bags. That being said, let me give you like a synopsis of how the day went and then tips and tricks of like what I would have done differently go forward. I will start by saying I'm a big believer that you should at least try everything once. And for me, that was this. And like, do I foresee trying this again? Sure. I obviously still need to work and make a living, so we'll see about that. But I thought it was like a fun attempt of like trying something new. And I was like, okay, why not? Yeah. So let me back up and give you guys the prequel of like what was everything leading up to now. Again, I had no experience in this. I had done like behind the camera work or like seen other shoots or been involved in shoots or maybe did styling behind the scenes, but never actually like wanting to be in front of the camera. And I think I was just like too in my head and like kind of in my shell. And so being here in New York, obviously with this life transition that I'm going through, if you haven't watched my videos yet, I was like, why not? Let's just try it. And the fact that like a friend of mine reiterated the other day again, like to try this, because I've had a few people come up to me and be like, you should really try this. Like, I think why not? You have nothing to lose. So I was like, all right, cool. The casting was today. It was initially for Wilhelmina Models. It was supposed to be from 10 a.m. to 1 p.m. I don't know if this was like their first one in New York after the pandemic or if it was because this was like heavily marketed. But and my guess is it's the latter. Like I think they didn't expect to have this many people, but I wouldn't doubt that this is not normal for them, just because New York City is like the mecca of modeling. And when I first got there, I think I left here around 10. So I was thinking like, okay, if I get there by 10:30, even if the line's long, like I'll be there till 1, I'll make it in. Boy, oh boy, was I wrong. Like first things first, like set the expectation that get there 2 to 3 hours ahead of time. If it starts at 10, get there like 8, get there at 7, because the line started from the front of the hotel entrance of where the location was, and it looped around the block twice, not just once, twice. And so when I first got there, I was like, oh, this is the line. Like, is this the end? And then I kept walking and walking and walking and walking and walking, only to realize, oh, I don't, it was like so long I couldn't tell where the end was. And that's when I was like, oh my God. In that moment, I was like, do I go home or do I stay? And I'll be honest, like throughout the entire process while you're standing in line, you're going to have a constant battle of like, do I stay or do I go? So that's the first thing. Second, I would say there's a sheet that they'll give you, which essentially serves as a comp card if you don't have one. And if you have questions about that, it is, which is like a short explainer of what you look like and then all your measurements. But the piece of paper is really just all your measurements, which you're intended to bring with you ahead of time so that you're not stuck there spending more time filling it out, which I have a feeling quite a few people didn't fill theirs out. Anyways, I went and filled mine out. I think the people who got there really early got there, like, it was very smart on their behalf, because when I noticed, it was the people who got there really early or really late that got to leave first, and I'll explain why. You eventually become friends with everyone in the line because you're just like there commiserating over the heat. Mind that it's 86 degrees in New York heat and humidity, and you're just thinking like, wow, everyone is beautiful. Like, of course, you're in New York, you're in the mecca of like fashion capital outside of Paris. Like, this is where people want to go to be casted. And one of the premier, if not the most premier, modeling agency in the world. And you're just sitting there. Everyone is beautiful. Like, and it's an open casting call for all sizes, shapes, types of work. They really were like, we're seeing anyone and everyone, which is great, but it can also really hurt you. So, like, in some examples, it was great for the guys because for the male models, the ratio from like guy to girl was probably anywhere from like 1 to 50 or like 1 to like 20. And at some point, I think when it got to like, I want to say like 132-ish, they ended up just saying like, oh, the guys can move up front, or like we'll pull the guys earlier. So throughout it, you're like sweating, panting. Fortunately, I didn't have a problem so much with energy because I like stayed in last night. I hydrated and brought water with me. And then one of the girls like went off to the store, so she got snacks for us, like protein bars, bananas. I recommend like bring whatever you can with you to sustain your energy. And then she was really smart. She went and got an umbrella so she didn't have to stand in the heat because there's really not much shade, which I thought was really smart. And I was like, wow, genius. Yeah, other than that, like, the best part about it, honestly, were the connections with the people I made in the line, because they're there to do something similar. Maybe they're not there for like full-time work either. They're like, oh, I just want to pick something up on the side or try it. And we all just ended up being friends and like made a group chat, which was so cool because I was like, we totally bonded over this like insane experience. And we were like, this will be a story for the books. Like at some point when you're like 3 hours into this thing, you're like, we're just doing it for the story. We're doing it for the plot line. Which is great because I was like, okay. But we persevered. So yeah, got there at like what, 10:30, and then I think around like 1 something, we were all like, do we leave? Are they gonna end it here? Are they not gonna end it? Fortunately, one of the girls who we were in line with, she ended up leaving, but we had a group chat, and in the group chat, one of her friends was all the way at the front and actually got word or wind from the people who were running the casting call saying they're actually going to extend it till 3 p.m. so that they could try and get through as many people as they can, because it was that long. Like, it was so, I don't think they really expected that. I think this was kind of a surprise and a shock to them post-pandemic, that they were like, whoa, we were not expecting this in any way. So I think it was probably around like at that point, I want to say we stayed till like 2:15, and again at this point we like went the full round and we're now working on our second loop, but we're like still doing the math and we're like, well, okay, we're now at 2:30, like it's cutting it close. The casting directors and the team who were hosting the event actually started making their way outside, and you can start to see them make some announcements. And so we kind of like peeped in, and all of a sudden you notice this group of people like being rushed, like, yes, they took my photos, and so I guess they started from the back and then worked their way up, and they actually just asked everyone, they're like, hey, if you have your sheet, just like hold your sheet out and we'll just come around and take your photo, because realistically we're not going to get through to everyone. So they started from the back and then made their way up front. And that's why I was like, the people who did it the best were the people who got there really early, or you're actually all the way in the back, because those people were honestly had just as much of a chance as the people who were like in the middle of the line that got there at like 10 a.m. Which was really interesting because I don't think any of us saw that. It was like, it really felt like the Hunger Games. Like, we were really out there just being like, are we, like, wow, that was like, it really tests you. So yeah, so they started to make their way and started taking people's photos, and they were going really fast. So you just held the sheet in front of you. It had all your information, like your name, number, waist height, measurements, bust, like what shoe size, what dress size, how tall are you, your hair color, your eye color, and then they just take a photo of you down the line, like, and they were going so fast. They went like person, 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 person. What was interesting, and I don't like just taking this for face value, is they got to me and then she was like, "Oh, like can you turn because the sun's in the way? Like I want to make sure to grab your face." So I turned to her and I did this like half awkward smile where I was like, I don't know what to do here. But at this point, you're dripping in sweat, panting, like dying of heat. And I'm like probably way tanner than when I left the house. Fortunately, I put sunscreen on, but it was so fast. I was like, and she took my photo with the piece of paper, but she kind of like readjusted herself a couple times and then went on. And that was the whole experience. So I'm not gonna lie though, I'm recouping. Like I left and now I have a headache. So, but I learned so much. So, because of the group chat, network, network, network. Like the people you are in line with are just as equally as important as the people that you're going to go meet during the casting call because they actually ended up sending up and sharing information about other casting calls that are open. And we agreed, like, oh, if you guys come a part of some, I come a part of some, like, we'll just send them in the group chat. And then that way we just have like a continuous flow of information, which was great. And they're so sweet. The other piece to this is sometimes you're better off just submitting online. Like it comes down to a numbers game realistically, and like if you're a guy, if you are a male model, by all means go. Your chances are significantly higher because of the ratio. And again, like I don't know if that's just for this event or if that's in general, but it was very evident like they were desperate for male models because it was just like woman after woman after woman after woman, and they were like bombarded with women. The other thing is, I'm so glad I didn't wear makeup. Like, I'm so, so glad because it's one thing to just show up not wearing anything. It's another thing to like show up expecting, oh, I just wore light makeup, but then you melt it off and it looks even worse than if you were to just not wear makeup. So I'm just so fortunate I didn't. In terms of outfits, everyone generally wore black shirt, black jeans. You can switch it up however you want. We did not wear heels because the line was so long. We were very fortunate, like, and I'm really glad with that decision. We all ended up just, well, most of us in line were wearing sneakers. There are some people that are wearing heels in line thinking they're gonna walk, and oh my God, do I feel bad for them because they probably didn't even make it. Like, even after the photo taking, I like went, got coffee, charged my phone, came back to get to my Uber, and I still saw the line like wrap around the block. Um, yeah. So after your photos are taken though, they're pretty much like, okay, you can go home now. Like we're not gonna see you guys, which was fine. We tried it. Tried it. That's fine. Yeah. So now, honestly, just trying to recoup. My head hurts so bad. I'm gonna take some Advil and drink some water. But now I've learned about like a whole bunch of websites. There's one called models.com where you can like look up other agencies. Word is apparently like smaller boutique agencies are better, especially for the type of work that I would want to do because, you know, I'd more like probably like the curve or like plus size modeling. And yeah, so I started looking up what are all the other boutiques. I found a complete list. Comment or let me know if you guys want the list because I can go in depth on that and what the requirements are there. I'm going to get some photos taken, but I'm just going to submit online from here on out. So I'll try it again. Like if there's ones that are convenient or I really want to go, or just like in a place where I'm not in 90-degree heat, I will certainly try it again. But yeah, so that's the story of my first casting call. Thanks, guys. Peace out.